So when we started API 2.0, we wanted to change the structure, change the naming, and reflected the terminology and then the things which are normally used in modern era of telecommunications. And I'll have an example of that on the next slide. So let's go to the next point. No, Andrew, let me finish the list. So the next point is that the new API is is using a REST design. Basically, all objects, all methods are organized the way the typical REST API is done. And this is very helpful for third-party developers. If they ever done any integration using REST API or they did some programming and they are familiar with the way how REST API is structured, it is much easier for them to understand and to use the specific methods which are needed for their task at hand. But more importantly, and this is something which Andrew is going to demonstrate, when API uses REST design, it can be utilized by modern AI agents. Modern AI agents have no problem finding specific methods, specific services, and generate a code which would, invoke required methods and do everything that is required by a particular task. The next point, the next improvement is related to querying data from the PortaBilling. So with existing API, when you, let's say, read the customer information, that customer object or customer structure would have references to other objects. For example, to a customer class or to a reseller or to any other object, yeah? But it will be just a reference, some ID. And then in order to get information from that other object, you need another API call. Yeah, so you need another request to, for example, to read all the details of the customer class. And then if for some reason you need to read the reseller data, you also need another API request. So what we now have in API 2.0 is that when you query for some object, you can optionally request additional information from those related objects. You can just indicate that, hey, I also need a customer class data, or I also need a reseller data. So with a single request, you get several linked objects, and it is designed to improve performance of the API, right? There should be less back and forth between the client and the web server running PortaBilling. Another improvement is the ability for the code to query only specific attributes of the objects instead of getting a huge customer. So if a third-party developer, for example, develops some portal in a particular self-care portal, and in one place they are just interested in in customer status, whether it's in normal status or maybe it's suspended or blocked. They need information about current balance and any outstanding amount on the last invoice. They can request that particular information when they are getting the customer data. They can request only that particular pieces, and they don't need to get to be involved with a huge customer structure which has probably like 100 attributes, and most of those attributes this particular developer may not be even familiar with, may not even understand what it is. And the last improvement in the list is we reworked the error handling in the API. So we also rewrote quite a few error messages. So now troubleshooting, when an API call produces an error, troubleshooting should be much easier. And now let me give you an example with changed structures and changed terminology. So what I have here is that and on the left, it's a new structure in the API 2.0 when you try to create a customer hunt group. I mean, a hunt group under the customer. Yeah, so this is portion of the request. And in this request, you would basically provide all the customer information, and you could also, all the hunt group information, and you could also immediately list all the members of the hunt group. But I don't know if you are aware, PortaBilling allows to create nested hung groups when one hung group is included in another. I know it's not a very popular scenario, but bigger organizations tend to organize their hung groups like that. So it is possible to include one hung group in another hung group. And if you're creating a hung group and you want to include another hung group here and also some extension into this hung groups that you are creating, you have a list of objects, and they can be one of those two types. It's either a specific hung group that you are adding with corresponding attributes, or a specific extension or a list of extensions with corresponding attributes when they add it to the hung group. I think it's very straightforward. It's simple to understand. Anybody who dealt with hung groups in PBX should understand how to do it, right? Now let's look at how it's done in the existing API. In the existing API, when you're making a call to create a hung group, there is just one structure, one list called add extensions. And I know for the fact that some developers could never wrap their head around this idea that you list both extensions and included hung groups into a single structure. But that's how it's expected to work. The reason behind it is, again, because that's how it's stored in the database, and the current extension is basically a reflection of the database structure. So I hope this example just illustrates how the naming and the structures are changed in the new API.